Hi, hello, my name is Gabio, and welcome to Short Positive Review. Today we are reviewing Chlorine by Jade Song. So let's get right into it. So first of all, hi. I'll let you know when you need to leave because of spoilers, but for now, let's just talk about the book and talk about what it is and why I liked it. Chlorine follows Ren Yu, which is a Chinese-American immigrant. She has put all of her energy and being into competitive swimming since ever her early teenagehood, which is where the story begins. It's a coming-of-age character study. That's how I'm gonna define it because I really like the way it's told. Ren is a teenager, and the story is very unique and fair in that way in which Ren is not always a good person. She's not always nice, but teenagers are not always nice. And I thought that was really interesting. So obviously the story follows Ren, which as a very young kid has always been mesmerized by the concept of a mermaid, of ladies that live in water. She has a poster wall in her room that's full of images of mermaid from different cultures and different books, and she would only consume mermaid media. She always defined herself as a chlorine mermaid, like one of those ladies from her books that she really liked, but that her ocean was the chlorine water, was her swimming pool. Also, when she was really young, her dad did leave for China, leaving her mom and her in America to try to get more money, but unfortunately he never came back. So she's being raised by her mom, which in some ways she expressively feels discontentment with her mom and resentment, I guess, because of the fact that her dad left. And I think that's really interesting. She has a very authentic, uncomfortable relationship with her mom at times, which I thought was really fascinating. She also has a best friend. Her name is Katie, and Katie has the massivest crush on Ren, and Ren knows it, but Ren does nothing about it. And in some points of the book, I'm pretty sure Ren it says something similar to, if Katie ever acted on it, I would have probably reciprocated, but she never did. That's also interesting. The book starts, in every couple of chapters it comes back to present day Ren telling her story, and the way it is framed, something happened that made her be able to go in the ocean and become a real mermaid. What we know of is that at the beginning of the story, Ren is fully fulfilled in the water. She's happy. In every couple of chapters we see a chapter from Katie's point of view in which she writes a letter, and she drops it off at some bay, some place where there's water, in the hopes that Ren is going to be able to read it. So we know that something happened, but we don't know what, and we don't know how, and how can someone turn into a mermaid? This book is only 200 pages long. To be fair, I think it's the perfect length for the story it tells. I don't think it drags at any point, and I don't think it felt rushed at any points. It really dwells into what it is like to be a teenager at times, and I think it is exemplary in that way. Another relationship that Ren has that is uncomfortable at times is with the trainer, the coach for the swimming team. I think his name is Jim. And Jim has a very weird way of teaching his kids. He favors Ren a lot, and he favors her a lot, and because of that, you can tell that he has a weird relationship with her. She expressively herself says that it is a weird relationship, but it's never sexual or pushy, but it is uncomfortable at times, and she doesn't know how to feel about it, and I think that's very interesting too. So before I go into the spoilers, just this book is, it grabs you and pulls you in to this story. I'm not an immigrant, so of course I don't relate to some of the points about immigration and about the longing for your home that Ren feels both towards water and towards China, so her home, but the way it is told feels very personal and very authentic in a way that I really enjoyed. It's a coming of age, it's dark, it has dark humor aspects, and for a debut novel, it is masterful. I really thoroughly loved it. It's sapphic, it's weird, it's creepy at times. You're following someone that will go to any lengths to make what they want to happen. I thoroughly recommend it. And now let's go on to the spoilers. So whenever I go into the spoilers in those reviews, I both act like you know what I'm talking about, and as if you've not read the books and you just want to hear my thought about it, because I know that's, hey friends, I know you're here for that. But I think the most important part to know about this book is when the second half of the book and the mermaid transformation itself is, in my opinion, it starts after a concussion that never healed. So Ren a little bit before the half point of the book, hits her head in the water and has a concussion, and she should stay off the water until she feels better. But she longs so strongly for the water, and Jim, the coach, is being so aggressive about it, like passive aggressively, like, oh well, we need you, come back because we need you, we're gonna lose without you. And because of that, she comes back way too quickly. She comes back when she still has like vision loss problems, so way too early, and she goes in the water and it feels good, but it feels wrong. And in my opinion, that never healed concussion is what caused her to have the whether you wanted to call delusions or just the very strong way in which she feels that becoming a mermaid and what she wants is the truth. It really feels intense and like bonkers at times. I feel it all stems from that. Obviously, the book dwells into some very specific stories. One of my favorites was when Ren was like later on teenager towards the end of the book, and she has to get a job, and so she becomes a pool lifeguard because of course she meets that one queer person and she falls in love, or at least I think it's arguable because like it's never expressively said that she fell in love, but they hooked up and they had some like feelings for each other, and Ren messes them. And I think that's so like the way this relationship never got closure is so interesting because that's just what happens. It's also the person who like introduced Ren to weed and to like normal teenagehood experiences, because let's not forget, Ren is a competitive swimmer in an immigrant house, and she's kind of a loner in a lot of ways. Like, water and mermaids are the two things in her life, and TV that she watches with her mom too. So like friends group is not very something that she has. She has Katie, which she knows that Katie is in love with her and probably like emotionally addicted. I don't know if you can say it that way, but Katie is so emotionally invested into Ren that she cannot, whatever Ren knows that she can exploit that for herself is what I'm trying to say, and she knows that and she does, and I think that's interesting. Another part of the book that I really loved was the ritualistic way that was described into competitive swimming. And I know this is from the author because she has been a competitive swimmer from what I've read, so obviously this is like very personal and very like her experience with it. But the way that they all shave right before an event, so they shave their entire body and they help each other with the back, and it's like a ritual that they always have. The food that they eat before every competition, and it's always at someone different's house and they eat different things, and that's so interesting. The way it is described is, especially through the lens of Ren, that's like obviously not neurotypical in my opinion, is so good. And now let's talk about the mermaid stuff. What happens? Why is she a mermaid at the end? Well, at the very end of the book, it's her last competition and she has to win. There's no other way she sees this than win. She needs to win, and it is her time to become her mermaid. So she takes all of the mermaid posters from her room and she eats them. So consumes the mermaid, brings a meat cleaver and her mom's sewing kit to school, and right before it is time to go do the competition, she locks herself in a stall, and then content warning for gore, she slices her inner thighs and then pulls the skin back towards the other thigh and then sews it that way, and then does the same in the back and does that all throughout the legs. So at the end, essentially her legs are now fused together, they are her tail. So then she hops back into the competition, and obviously it doesn't go super well. They stop her and then she gets to a hospital. So obviously everyone in the hospital, including her mom, are like, well, Ren, we don't know why you did that, but we are going to remake your legs. We're going to undo what you did to get your legs back. And then she complains. She's like, no, you're not going to remove my tail. This is my mermaid tail. It's mine. And then they try. Her mom gets mad. Her dad comes back from China to help her. And then she has resentment towards him, finally. And resentment towards anyone that doesn't want her to let her have her tail. That's hers. And that's so interesting. And then at the end, it's Katie that comes to visit her. Ren just goes, well, if you love me, you're going to help me escape. And so they do. They escape. they go in a car, and then Katie drives her to like somewhere like 3 hours away, so somewhere like pretty far, obviously, that no one is gonna like immediately go look for her. And then it's a little like creek. Ren says goodbye and goes in the water, and that's the end of the book. Obviously, when we talk in the present, so the first chapter is Ren talking in the present, like looking back on her life. Well, it's post the creek, and then all of Katie's chapters are her dropping letters off. And obviously when I was reading it, I was like, oh, so Ren died. But it's never explicit in the book. The only thing that we know is that she went into the creek, so whether she lived or died, I think it's pretty obvious like which one happened. But the book leaves it really open-ended, and obviously Ren talks in the present tense, so unless it's like right after she went into the water and just retells everything, who knows, maybe she did become a mermaid. That book was really, really fucking good. I really liked the way it dwells into a bunch of shit that is so well done, and from a specific angle that's not that I don't read that often, which is really interesting. From a debut novel, I know I keep saying that, but like it was so strong and so unique, and it's the kind of thing that you don't see a lot from debut novels, and I really loved it. As for the piece that is in the background, I wanted to experiment with texture. What happened is that my last piece, Angel Before Man, which is my last video, was something that I love to do so much, and I didn't know if I would ever be able to do something as good. Like, it's always a thing, like when you've done a piece that you're really proud of, the next one is always like rough. And so I went into that one being like, I don't care if it's good or bad, I just want to experiment. But also I want it to be good because I really love the book, but also like I need to like not put too big of expectations on myself, because otherwise I would have cracked. So I did just that, and I put a lot of texture, and I'm so proud of it. It looks so pretty. There's a lot of bleach stained, like distress stain on the picture itself, because I wanted it to look like it bleached, like chlorine, stained, because of course. I really like the colors. I wanted to experiment with that too. I mean, a very experimental part of my art journey, and it's really fun and it's really interesting, and thank you for coming along with me. And so here is the montage. That's it for Chlorine by Jade Song. It's such a good book. I really recommend it. I don't know what else to tell you then. It's just really good. It's very unique. I'm sending all my flowers. It's really good. If you want to follow me around the internet, here are all of my links. And yeah, I don't have much else to say. I think my next short positive review is going to be something a bit different. I think I'm not going to review a book. I'm going to review something else. Which initially, short positive review was supposed to review anything, but then it immediately went into books because that's what I consume the most. And like, I really like talking about more hidden books, I guess. So let's see how it goes. I love you guys very much, and see you soon.